Is it worth it though? Is it worth it? So today we have a very large fitted bed sheet. It does have a couple of holes in. We're obviously going to avoid using the parts of the material that have the holes in, but it should be quite a blank canvas. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is undo all of the elasticatedness. So I'm just going to seam rip the elasticated corners so that it gives me a non-elasticated sheet. My plan is, so I want to make a shirt top and then just a regular pair of elasticated shorts like my turquoise ones. I know I want to be 12 inches up and down, and then I know that I want this to be, because my waist is 28 inches, so I'm going to get about 35 inches and then just gather it. That's going to be super easy, not worried about that at all. But usually when you're doing shirred material, you need to get 3 times the amount of material. I want this to be 32 inches around here because that's the measurement around just below my bust. So I would like this to be 32 inches eventually, but then when you share things you have to times it by 3, which is 96 inches, which is a lot. I will continue to say that it needs to be times by 3. Ignore this, this is not correct information. But I need to buy some shirring elastic because my shirring elastic is in Hamburg. Where am I? Not in Hamburg. So these are all my measurements. That is the best drawing I've ever done in my life. And I'm gonna go order some shirring elastic off of Amazon. So I just contemplated maybe leaving everything where it is and just cutting out this bit. I'm gonna seam rip this elastic, see how good it is. If it's any good, then I'll keep it and use it for something else. If it's not, then again, I'm going to have to go to Sainsbury's and buy some more elastic. Which I would really like if we went in lockdown. I'm a little bit fed up of ordering things off the internet because that's not good for the environment. Well, that's a delightful discovery I've just made, because if I don't cut everything and I seam rip everything, I'm going to end up obviously with little holes. So I'm just not going to seam rip and I'm going to cut. Oh, and it's going to be so great. I can't wait. I'm just going to cut all of the fitted sheet off so I've got a very large unelasticated rectangle. Then I can start cutting things and avoiding the 2 very big holes in my bed sheet. The other thing I had to do was cut the shaping around the corner of the bed, but that is done. That is one corner, so now I'm going to repeat that on all the other 4 corners, and then I will have something that'll be a little easier to work with. I might also iron it purely to kill time, which I never thought I would say. Usually I'm trying to avoid spending too much time doing things, but honestly, lockdown. I remember that time I said I was gonna iron it. No. That is 96 inches. That is apparently how much I need for my top. So my bright idea was to cut a straight line into the material so that I would then have something to measure off 12 inches from that nice straight line. But as we know, I don't cut in a nice straight line. And this is the very moment that I realised that I don't cut in a nice straight line, and I'm going to have to come up with another way to cut 12 inches and have it actually be 12 inches the whole way across. So I just cut 12 inches at the bottom, and then I just end up rolling it up and cutting past that 12 inches. So it'll kind of be 12 inches all the way across, it just won't be in a nice straight line. But you know, does it really matter? Okay, delighted. That will be the top, cut out, ready to be shirred, because honestly, I just need to hem the top and the bottom. Hem the top and the bottom. So round it shut, that is going to take so long to shirr. Can't wait. And now all I need to do is make these pairs of shorts. I'm not a fan of hemming, so I'm going to see if I can use the bottom edge here, because it is finished, as the bottom of the shorts. At least I know what my measurements should be, and I know how shorts should look. Honestly, if you know what something's meant to look like, it makes it easier to make it, because you can kind of adjust it. I'm measuring out how much material I think I need for a pair of shorts, which this is not an exact science. I'm not a short scientist. all I do is upcycle stuff. And I don't think that I have enough along the bottom where this nice lovely hem is. I think I'm going to have to extend it further, which is fine. It just means I've got to hem it at the bottom, which honestly isn't the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I was thinking maybe 24 inches, because then it means that it gives me a lot of material around the thigh, because my thigh around is 20 inches, which means that there's 10 inches for that to be a really close fit, and I do not want a close fit, so I'm thinking add another 2 inches each side, and that'll be a nice loose fit. But then I've also got to remember that this is a cotton, and this is not a nice viscose material that's going to hang. It's a cotton that's not going to hang properly, so I'm going to make it bigger and then go smaller. Much easier to cut away material than it is to add in material. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the bottom of this sheet, so I get rid of the nice lovely hem that I was attempting to keep. I'm really glad I didn't iron that down, because I would have been like, oh well, that was for nothing. So I'm going to cut out 24 inches worth front and back. I folded it over, so I've got a fold here, and then I can just cut the front and back at the same time, because essentially the front and the back are going to be the same, because I'm not going to bother tailoring this. Maybe I'll put in a couple of darts. Maybe I won't. No, because I'm going to elasticate the waist. I still need to buy some elastic. So here is me cutting off the nice clean edge of the bedsheet that I really wanted to save, but I just wasn't going to be able to. So it would give me a nice blank canvas to work on. And then I measured out the width that I knew I wanted my shorts to be in its entirety across the front, and it would also be the same at the back. So I chopped out there, and then I carried on all the way up to the measurement that I wanted my shorts to be from top to bottom. Finishing up, I just closed the last side of the square and chopped all the way across. So we have a rectangle. I folded down the top. That is going to be the waistband. So I'm allowing myself that as a memory. I was like, this isn't going to go around me, and then I remember it's doubled up. It definitely will. So I am going to cut in. I'm not going to go too low, because again, I've had to cut further in, and I've also had to add material back in, and I tell you what, cutting further in is much easier than adding material back in. So I'm probably going to cut around here, and I'm going to go up there, going to do exactly the same here and go up there. I shouldn't have to take too much, because it's a loose fitted thing anyway. It's never going to get over how scary it is cutting material. This is not an exact science. It probably should be, but I don't treat it as an exact science. I just cut in where I knew the crotch was kind of sort of gonna be, and then I cut in a little bit inside. This was going to be the back, front, not very sure. Cut in, cut all the way up, and then I folded the sheet over and then cut in exactly the same place on the other side, and again went in. Yes, this is the front. Went in and cut in the front, so we should have a scoop more on the back than on the front. Nailed it. And because the sides have to be sewn together anyway, that would be the sides. So all I need to do now is sew the back together, sew the front together, and then I have to sew these two sides, but like opposite each other. So I have to sew that long side with that long side. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to sew down here and sew down here. Yeah, as you can see, they kind of sort of fit. However, it does seem to be a very tight crotch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the crotch down by about 2 inches. So I'm measuring an inch from the first initial cut, taking the crotch down another 2 inches, so I've got a little bit more crotch room, which is going to make it more comfortable. I did exactly the same to the front as I did to the back, so on one side as I did to the other, because it's very important that they are the same length. They seem to fit a little bit better. The next thing I need to do is fold over the top in order to create the waistband. All I did was sew a straight stitch. It doesn't need to be a zigzag stitch because it is elasticated and it will be drawn in. The waistband is the same width as the elastic that I got off of Etsy. I made a cuff on the bottom of the shorts by folding a very small amount of the material up and then folding a bigger amount of the material up. So it's kind of like a really big rolled hem. It just makes the cuff look really super clean, and then I did a straight stitch around there. Hello. So, many things have happened since I last saw you. We've seen the shorts. because the elastic that I bought off Etsy, because I'm trying really hard not to buy things off Amazon, because of all the things in this global pandemic, the one thing I can do is not support someone that doesn't pay their people minimum wage despite them being very, very rich. So I bought those off Etsy. They took about, I'm going to say 5 days to come. However, this shirring elastic here took 10 days, and it took us 7 days to send it. It said it would be dispatched between 3 and 5 business days, which in itself is quite a long time considering it's that. Apparently you have to do 3 times the amount to get the amount that you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test that theory. I've got a piece of material here that is 35 centimeters across. I am going to shirr this entirely because I've shirred before and it's very easy to unpick. So I'm going to shirr this, see how small it gets, and then use those measurements, because this 35 centimeter piece of material is a lot smaller than that piece of material, and I fancy unpicking that more than I fancy unpicking that. Also, for those of you that have never shirred before, shirring involves hand winding the elastic around the bobbin. Hand winding. Hand winding. Hand winding. I'm gonna be here for a while. This is not easy when you have nails, and I shall not be cutting my nails off because they look pretty. That be the shirring life. Bobbin wound. Bobbin with elastic. Elastic coming out the top. Next thing we have to do is whack up the tension to like here. I'm gonna go with 9, and then really small stitch length. Yeah, that stitch length is actually 0. Don't do that. Put it on stitch length 1. 0 just means it goes up and down on the spot. And straight stitch. Started off doing about 1 centimeter's worth of distance, and it looked really good, and then I was like, I'm bored, and it doesn't look so good when it's long, so obviously I'm just gonna have to do that whole thing. But it is working, which is great. We love it when things work, but it takes a long time because the stitch length is super short, but at least it works. BRB, just have to spend, 5 hours shirring. Alright, okay, so having just done this practice piece, it reduces it by 1/3, which does not mean that I need to times things by 3. It means I need to times it by 1.3. So I need to increase it by 1/3. And if it's 32 centimeters round, 32 divided by 3 is not divisible. So let's do 33 centimeters, 33 divided by 11. So I need to do 33 plus 11, and then it will come out all right. I'm really glad I figured that out. Lols, who did I think I was with a 32 centimeter chest? Hilarious. 32 inches, it's actually 84 centimeters. So 84 divided by 3 is 28. 84 plus 28 is 112. So we are going to make this piece of material 112 centimeters long, and then we're going to add a little bit for seam allowance because I can always tuck it in at the ends, I think. I've lost my good stitch unpicker in this room somewhere. I must find it because I'm not using the shit one. Oh, almost made the cardinal sin of shirring, and I haven't hemmed the top and the bottom yet, so take the shirring bobbin out, put the normal bobbin in, because I do not want to try and hem shirred fabric because I've done that before and it sucks. Beautiful rolled hem going on there on both sides as well. Let's begin the arduous task of shirring this bad boy. Okay, so when you're shirring, it is very, very important to remember to continue to stretch the fabric so it is flat. If you don't do that, the fabric will gather under the tension of the elastic, and it won't work if you keep sewing along a gathered surface. So you have to keep stretching it. It takes a long time. I won't lie to you people, it's quite arduous. But once you get to the end of your line, at the end of the row, put the needle down, lift up the presser foot, turn it 90 degrees, put the presser foot back down, sew as much distance as you want in between each line, needle down, presser foot up, turn it 90 degrees, presser foot down, and off you go again. It's been 2 hours. I don't want to keep showering. Do you know what I might do? I might just leave it like that. Pinned it here at the back to see what it will look like, and I don't think that is bad at all. I wish I could do everything and then unpick it all, but I can't do that. I've got to make the decision that I'm going to add more or not. And I think what I'm going to do, because I actually don't like this, I'm just going to leave it like that, because then it hides that and doesn't look horrific. Such an excellent use for a bedsheet. A pair of little lounge pants so that you can only wear flesh-coloured underwear underneath. This two-piece is so cute. I am delighted with how it turned out. I did actually end up adding sleeves to the top and also pockets to the bottoms, and you can see pictures of those on my Instagram.